Navigating daily life often feels exactly like this, a truly chaotic, exhausting cycle of physical and mental stress. And when you look for a way out, you are immediately met with dozens of contradictory spiritual theories that only add to the confusion. But there is a systematic alternative. Ancient Vedic texts outline a precise, step-by-step science of devotional service. This process is designed to systematically dismantle material attachments and permanently remove the anxieties that come with them. If followed precisely, this process leads to the highest perfectional stage of life. You reach a point of constant, unbroken, and transcendental loving service to the Supreme. To begin, you only need one thing: a preliminary desire for self-realization. You have to be willing to look past the assumption that you are strictly this perishable physical body. Possessing that simple desire is what shifts your perspective away from the bodily concept of life, moving you toward the path of true liberation. On this path, the very first step, that initial desire, is shraddha. Once that desire is present, you move to step 2, sadhusanga, which is the act of seeking out the association of people who are already spiritually elevated. Here, an elevated spiritual master is directly instructing his students. Receiving initiation from a bona fide guide provides the structure necessary to advance. As seen from the practitioners seated here, spiritual advancement requires intense focus. Under your mentor's guidance, you begin the rigorous execution of devotional service. This is not an arbitrary set of meditations you invent on your own. It involves following a highly specific set of daily disciplines and regulative principles. Without combining the insight of an experienced mentor with your own disciplined physical action, the deep internal purification required to reach higher states of consciousness cannot begin. Establishing that daily discipline triggers a deep internal clearing process. It specifically targets and removes 3 major psychological blockages. The first blockage is a deep-seated attachment to materialism. When entirely focused on physical survival, imagining a completely transcendental, imperishable body feels impossible. The second blockage is fearing your individual personality. Many assume spiritual perfection means merging into an impersonal void, like a vanishing bubble. This fear-based response lacks knowledge. The true realization is a spiritual life that is individual, personal, and eternally blissful. The third and final blockage is anger. Bombarded by contradictory philosophical theories, people often become disgusted and conclude that everything is ultimately meaningless. That hopelessness drives many to seek the false shelter of intoxication. They mistake chemically induced hallucinations for actual spiritual vision, an illusion that eventually shatters. Your daily, active devotional service is the specific mechanism designed to systematically dismantle all 3 of these false concepts. When you strip away material attachment, fear of spiritual identity, and frustration with empty theories, you cross a definitive threshold. You move out of theoretical philosophy and begin experiencing tangible spiritual progress. As these 3 blockages clear, a new sense of stability emerges. This is step 5, nishtha, a state of absolute steadiness in your self-realization. That steadiness creates room for something new to emerge. You begin to develop a distinct, joyful taste for hearing and learning about the absolute truth. This image represents that focus. Your new taste is directed toward understanding the personal nature of the absolute truth, recognized as the personality of Godhead. Over time, this taste naturally matures. It grows from a simple interest into a deep, unshakable attachment to that divine consciousness. This initial taste evolves into step 7, asakti, a persistent attachment that replaces material longings. Finally, this attachment matures into bhava, the stage of preliminary transcendental love, where your consciousness begins to remain effortlessly fixed on the Supreme. At this point, your practice shifts. Spiritual life is no longer an uphill climb. It becomes a natural, inescapable gravitational pull toward the Supreme Personality. That gravitational pull leads you to the absolute peak of the process, prema. This is real, fully realized transcendental love for God. The defining characteristic of this final perfectional stage is constant, unbroken engagement in loving service to the Supreme. Tracing the complete sequence, the journey moves from initial desire, up through association, disciplined practice, clearing deep blockages, and finally reaching true love. Arriving at this summit means you are entirely purified by knowledge, operating completely free from material illusions. Because you successfully conquered the fear of retaining your own spiritual identity, you receive the ultimate reward. You attain the eternal, personal abode of the Supreme Lord.